Hello, I am Karen. This is Fave Lifestyles. Welcome, ladies. We are here with Sandy Stamato with our girlfriend biz chats. And you know what? This is just a time to talk about some of the things that it takes to build a business. And, ladies, there are struggles, but you know what? We have our biz girlfriends right here to help us along. And that's what our community is all about, is bringing these beautiful women together to journey together to elevate that journey, if you will, and to help make our journey a little bit easier and flow. I call it light and breezy. And so, Sandy, welcome you. We're going to be talking about Limb Dweller University and sage selling and some of the challenges that go along with that. So welcome. So just introduce yourself a little bit to all the ladies.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm Sandy Stamato, and my business, as you said, is called Limb Dweller Coaching. And what lights me up and what my greatest passion is helping female entrepreneurs transform their mindset around sales so they can bring their gifts to the world. And I say that with wholehearted love and commitment and belief that is so. And I really mean that. And so I have a program called Sage Selling, which you referenced, and it's all based on positive intelligence. And I think we talked about that in a previous video, so I don't need to kind of go into about positive intelligence, I'm assuming. So, because Limb Dwellers, I would love to talk about Limb Dweller.
Yes,
how it all fits in with all of this.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's start there. What is Limb Dweller? Okay. What is a Limb Dweller?
What is a Limb Dweller, and why are you saying it, Sandy, for God's sake? You know what? I've done so many podcasts. It's the first question people ask me and I thought everybody knew this word. This is what's really funny. So here's the story, and I have an animated video for it, but it's just something that's so near and dear to my heart. So when I was younger, I was in my late 20s, 28, I guess, I was trying a lot of different jobs, and my sisters all kind of were on track. I mean, I was the oddball in the family. I had, insurance, and we had an attorney, and my little sister was studying international environmental something in like Norway. I mean, this kid was and they were all dialed in. And I felt like the oddball because I kept trying different stuff. And I've always been like that. And so I was getting ready to quit another job because I'd been there for 6 months or so. It wasn't a fit. And I was really upset about it because, flake. I'm a flake. That stuff, it was like this relentless. I mean, we talk about saboteurs. It was nonstop. And I felt so much shame about it. So I called up, I was so blessed. I had an amazing mentor named Tracy. For 25 years, she basically raised me as a woman, in the business world. She was amazing. Oh yeah, I was so blessed. And I called her, and I was just on the verge of tears, and she was on the phone, and she had a really snarky receptionist, I guess they called the admin person, who answered the phone and told me Trace was unavailable. And she said, my maiden name was Watch. She always called me Watch. She said, okay, Watch. So is it at blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh no, Linda, the number changed. Let me give it to you. And she starts laughing. I'm on the verge of tears. She starts laughing, and she goes, oh man, Watch it. I'm going to have to start putting your phone numbers down in pencil. And I remember at that moment, Karen, it felt like she looked into my soul, and yep, I'm a flake. And it just crushed me. And I got off the phone and I started crying, and I was really beside. And she's not a mean woman. I mean, I've seen her since, but it was just like this this one of those little comments that people make that it was a direct hit. Yeah. And so Tracy called me back like 5 minutes later, thank God. And I couldn't stop crying. I was sobbing because I really felt like I was washed up in this town. Like this was it for me. I'm really a flake. And she was so sweet. She listened to me, and just lovely. And then when I paused, she said, honey, you're not a flake. You're just a limb dweller. And then this is the thing that killed me. She just starts talking about something else. And I'm like, whoa, I'm crying. I'm like, oh,
I'm out.
What? With a limb dweller, this is what I mean. Tracy was so amazing. She acted like everybody knew what a limb dweller was. And she said, oh, honey, there's two types of people in the world. There's people that stay at the same job for 30 years. They love it. It works for them. It fits. They get the gold watch. Beautiful. And they're at the base of the tree. She said, but then there's others like us. And we can't help ourselves. We have to scurry up that tree and hang out on the limb. And she said, right? And she said, honey, sometimes it's lonely. Sometimes it's scary. She said, sometimes it's windy. But oh, baby, what a view.
Oh,
I still get chills.
yes.
That story. It's every time I tell this story, it feels new because it was so.
I know, it almost makes you want to cry. It's like,
oh, absolutely.
Okay, I'm a limb dweller.
I'm a limb dweller. Like I remember I had a family member that was like, you're too sensitive. And I was like, you're right, I am. And it was like that. It was like, that's what opened up for me. It wasn't 100%, because you still, being out of step with society, you're being out of step with the norm. I mean, I feel like there's a lot more flexibility now, but when I was growing up, when we were growing up, it was like, you got a job, you went to college. There wasn't a lot of room for, for trying different things. You got a job with the idea that you get a pension or whatever this whole idea. And I was ahead of the curve. I was trying a lot of different stuff and I thought I was alone. And so what I found through the course of years is I started working with, and I worked in corporate America. So I know what that's like. And the reason why I was able to work in corporate America is I knew I was a limb dweller. I knew I was never going to be like everybody else. And there was a freedom in that, when I remembered. Because it's a pretty loud cry. This is a pretty loud, societally. And so anyway, I found myself drawn to female entrepreneurs because in working and like for the last 35 years, even when I was doing the corporate America thing, I always clicked with the limb dwellers. And I have to tell you, it wasn't part of my language. I didn't go, oh, hey, you're a limb dweller. It was just a knowing because I was so young when she had told that it settled into a place, it settled into my identity. Like it gave me, I didn't really have words for it. And honestly, I forgot about it until she passed away. And she passed away suddenly after 25 years in mentorship and just heartbroken. And so the point of it is that this story came to me and I shared it there. And then I found myself starting to share it. And I realized I want to call my business Limb Dweller because I want to call out to anybody that's ever felt alone. And like, there's something wrong with them. It's like, and then you switch it to sales. Oh my God. I did corporate sales, right? And so that was a certain way of doing things. I squeezed as much as I could, tried to get in there as much as I could to bring, to create the space for people to be able to step into their own. But under the confines of corporate America, there wasn't a lot of room to do much with sales and sales training.
Right.
And so as a result of positive intelligence and just the way everything lined up in the perfect place where I was able to create this sage selling based on people going through positive intelligence, because what positive intelligence does is it gets that flaky voice, identify, and you can stop it quicker than it took me when I was 28 years old.
Right. Oh my goodness. So many things in all of that.
Yes.
Yes. So one, ladies, are you a limb dweller?
Yes.
And
yes.
either way, whether you're a limb dweller or you're that, what was the other one called? The
trunk dweller.
A trunk dweller.
And you know what? I'm actually going to do a book on this because there's people that have said, can you teach me how to talk to a trunk dweller? All this stuff. And the bottom line, which is kind of funny, but the bottom line is we need both to survive. I love me a trunk dweller. I love me a trunk dweller. I need them. Otherwise, I'm going from limb to limb to limb. And limb dwellers aren't flaky. That's not about that. We're very successful people. It's just lonely.
Yeah.
And there's no ease in that.
Right. And that ease piece, what if we could make selling with ease? And that's really what you do with a sage selling. And I am in sage selling, and I'm just going to use a little example. Even today, I did my PQs from Positive Intelligence, which really supports your sage selling. And because I'm not kidding, ladies, how many of you have a wall that goes up as soon as you hear you have to connect with somebody that you don't know? There's all this stuff all around it that's come through social media. And how many of you have had training in selling? We are good at what we do. We have this product or service, but really, 70% of your time is either marketing or selling.
Or thinking about it.
Or thinking about it. Oh my
That
gosh.
could be the other 30% sometimes, or worrying about it, or
worrying. Oh my gosh.
anticipating.
And then you get stuck and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And so I hadn't done my PQs in the last few days. And I was getting this doubt was creeping in, all these, you're all alone here in your little office. You can't do it. All these little voices that are coming at you.
Yeah.
And so I said, enough this morning. I said, enough. This is something I desire to make work.
Yeah.
And to grow because I see all the benefits. And so how can we make that work? So I kept asking, and I thought, oh, maybe I could just do a little PQ.
Boom. Should have had a V8.
We try to make it so hard on ourselves, Sandy. And so that's what I love, having these tools in our pocket. So so tell us of kind of as these women are growing, and here at Fave we have a pathway, and it's like, are you in that building that foundation? Are you in that growth space, or are you a woman who's pretty established and really expanding her business? So how does Limb Dweller coaching help each one of those categories of women?
It's a really great question. I look at it as, to me, it's fundamental. So Limb Dweller University is what you're referring to, and that's where I'm going to house my classes. And so there's going to be a pathway to go through, and and it's just got to be really, it's a very playful, light approach, because the idea of selling is so terrifying for so many people, particularly entrepreneurs that have this truly an amazing gift, and they really want to make an impact in the world, and they want to make a difference, and they can't pick up the phone. And it's like, I can't tell you how many years I struggled with my clients while they were, and it was like, until I got the positive intelligence, and that's what you refer to as PQ. And we can talk about that. If somebody's interested, please talk to me, whether, just if you want to find out what that's about, because that's a whole different conversation. But the reason why, positive intelligence, as I said, is housed in Limb Dweller, Sage Selling. The whole idea of Sage Selling is, how do you respond to the world and challenges with a positive rather than a negative mindset? That's really what this program is about. And when through habit, through neural pathways, you don't have to work so hard, because what you do is you're training your brain to go, nah, I'm going over here. And over here I'm in Sage right now. This is what Sage looks like. I've looked at my podcasts from the past when I did not, when I was not in Sage, and I talk so fast. I was like, oh my God, take a breath, honey. That's all to say that Sage is it's a mindful practice, but it's so much more than that. And what I have found with Karen, with you, which has been an amazing example, but also with the other women I'm working with, is that what they're getting out of that is they're getting a way to authentically show up as themselves, and ask somebody to come join them, and this is how much it costs. And that's amazing. I mean, that's amazing, because if you're spending like 50% of your time worried about the money and how are you going to do it, and oh my God, marketing, I got to take another marketing class. I got, and if I say sales to a lot of, entrepreneurs, their eyes glaze over and they get this look. It's like, it's almost horrifying. And so I love the fact that Sage is before selling, because it is a radical approach to sales, because I too teach people how to sell, because it is an art. But when you come from a place like where you're looking through the lens of sales through Sage, which is it's the part of our brain where all the good stuff hangs out, right? And when you look at being able to show up and say, hey, tell me a little bit about what you're doing. I'm curious to find out, what are you doing? And I'd be more than happy to share with you what I'm doing. And if it's a match, great. And if not, I'd love to refer you to someone else.
Yes. Yeah. So, Sandy, one of the things that you said, and do you find that women, like when they first come into sage selling, that they're not maybe either not comfortable, confident enough to even think that they're enough to show up as themselves,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
that maybe they have to have something else like this script or whatever, rather
Yes.
than coming from this place of their own
Authenticity.
essence. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and it's and I didn't answer your question, I apologize. I got
It's
obviously
okay.
very passionate about this topic. But when I look at this as positive intelligence, I look at as the baseline for me. I don't work with people, honestly, unless they go through positive intelligence because the saboteurs are too loud. So whether you step in as a new business owner or you're trying to elevate your business or you're looking to take it to the next phase, anytime we elevate or we're moving into something new, our saboteurs go nuts and it's painful. And so, right? And
Wow.
so that's why I work with people where they're at. So for people that have never done sales before, come.
Yeah.
Come, because the reality is, and I'm not being the dark, Duchess of Darkness, it's just a fact. You cannot run a business if you can't sell. And I used to say, well, let's call it marketing. It doesn't matter the word you call it, you can't survive a business unless you really learn how to ask for business. And you can't really ask for business authentically unless you have a place within yourself that you're solid. And to do that, to force yourself to do that is so hard. That's why positive intelligence, people love it because there's an ease to it. You are literally in a mental fitness boot camp to train your mind. There's no weakness here. It's not because you're lazy, you're stupid, or, I can't sell my way out of a brown paper bag. That's not what that's about. It's about the fact that all of us in this, it's universal. We all have these saboteurs that quote unquote are keeping us safe. But unfortunately, they're keeping us small, and because small is safe, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So
Wow. So, and if we can master this piece, then you get to just go and grow and go do the things that you're good at.
yeah, I mean, if I'd known it just took 15 minutes a day, God, I wish I had this during the day when I was in sales. I was straight commission sales in between when I was, when I got out of corporate. I sold advertising. I wish I'd had this at that time because it would have made such a world of difference.
Yes.
I mean, because be successful. People can make money. But to me, in this day and age, this is really about ease. And it's like, why not be kind to yourself? Why not find it, if not positive intelligence, do something else, but something that it doesn't have to be hard.
Yeah.
It's like, it just doesn't have to be hard. It's
Yeah.
not easy because you got to put the time in and the work into, but you're doing it anyway. This
Yes.
way you actually get results.
Results would be great. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's be results oriented
Yes.
and let's get it done. And also, with this, not only is there ease, you will gain some of your time back
Oh, yeah.
because it is easier. So you're not doing all that worry and all the other stuff.
And
And,
creativity, and you have all that, like, curiosity and creativity, innovation, and it's like, "Oh my god."
wow.
But
And
it's not, I always say it's not magic dust. This isn't like sprinkle, like, we everybody has feelings. It's just like all those feelings of fear and lesson and all that stuff. Who do you want to hold those feelings? Do you want a voice that tells you you're never going to make it hold those feelings, or do you want the part of you that is full of love and curiosity and isn't that who you want to hold those feelings and then work through
yes.
it from that? Yeah. Well, I don't know, Sandy. It's a
Yeah.
tough one.
And
And it is a tough one for a lot of people.
it is, Sandy. I had to walk through that this morning. I had to kind of identify that I was in that doubt, that blah, ugly
Right.
space. And I literally had to stop myself and
Yeah.
go, I cannot create goodness from that space. It's
Oh, I love that.
desperation. It's all this ugly stuff, and I need to come over here and kind of, I call it my CEO space and come from a different space. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's just, it's this huge mind shift and it's real. but I couldn't, you can't sell from over there because it's not going to come across right.
Yeah, and you can, but boy, the results get
Oof.
really dicey, you know?
Yeah.
This is a thing people forget is that when you're in any kind of service industry, your reputation is everything. It's
Mm.
everything. You know, people say, "Oh, I get most of my business from word of mouth." That's really true for a lot of people. It's
Mhm.
really, really true. I mean, people have to market, you have to do all those things, you earn that. But if you are, you know, buy, you know, it's like, you know, it's just, you know, it's so interesting because sales is a skill. It is a skill, and I think it's an art. And like any other skill, it just needs to be learned. But I have to tell you, Karen, trying to teach people how to sell, you know, step by step in saboteur land is. And I taught
Yeah.
advertising executives. I could see their eyes, you know, their eyes would start going, okay, done, I'm gone.
Oh,
And they did it for a living, you know, and a lot of those people worked really hard, and a lot of those people had a lot of health problems, and a lot of those people, it's, you know, the stress of trying to sell in that environment is equal to the stress many entrepreneurs have.
right. Oh my goodness. And I think you said something important there too, is not, it's not just your mindset. You also have a program of skills that you need to learn.
Mhm. Oh,
There's
absolutely.
a process to this, and so
Right.
that's, it's like this, because a lot of sales courses and things have a process, but if you're not coming to it with the right space, right mindset, coming
Mhm.
from you, especially since we are selling ourselves.
That's right.
We're not just selling a service or a product. As
No.
a woman entrepreneur, we are selling who we are, because do people want to come and work with us?
Absolutely. And it's really important to note that. I
Yeah.
mean, absolutely. It's like it's the baseline. It's really the baseline. And so when you ask about where do people step in, I have people
Mhm.
step in each level. They just have a different intention about why they're doing it. But all roads lead to Rome because, you know, there's the selling aspect that, you know, you think about how much time you worry spending about that. Then you start looking at how much time do I spend worrying about my partner or my kids or my, so it kind of spreads out to everything. It's not just isolated to sales, it's isolated to who you are as you show up in the world and bring your gifts to the world. And your gifts may be part of that, may be what you sell, but it may be also how you love and how you, where you spend time. And so you know, it's funny. I don't know if it's my age or if it's having dealt with like all of us through COVID. I just don't have the appetite to suffer as much. I don't. I don't have the appetite for it. And so this for me, I've been doing sage selling now and you know, over a year. And prior to that, I was ready to stop doing what I was doing because it was hard. I was trying to struggle and compete against people on the internet that had huge marketing budgets and you know, and I felt really lost. And so I just feel like this has this I my baby tagline is changing the world of sales one woman at a time. And I
Mhm.
think we need that, you
Yeah.
know.
Yes. And make it flow and with ease. Absolutely. So, Sandy, what are some parting words you would like to leave with the ladies?
Oh, I just want to, you know, the whole thing about it doesn't have to be so hard. You know, it really doesn't have to be. I mean, honestly,
All over
it's
that.
like, and give people an opportunity to say yes. That's the biggest thing. There's so many people that need what we have. There's millions of people, and there's so many people that need what we have. And I've met such talented women that can't pick up the phone because they don't even know how to answer the question, "What do you do?" You know, I'm called, you know, they walk away, you know. So it's just like the world needs you, ladies, and whether you work with me or whether you find some place or some other thing that works, you know, it's time.
Yeah.
Don't work so hard.
Yes, and ladies, that is one of the things about Fave here too, is that
Oh,
we get to tap into the resources of women like Sandy, and that
mm,
just makes the journey so much more enjoyable. And you know, just being able to have other people kind of comment or take their classes or really
oh,
elevate elevate that journey and making that road, I call it light and breezy.
Oh, and Fave has been everything, Karen. Fave has been, that is what kickstarted my business. And I don't mean just like getting clients, which was phenomenal. I'm talking about the women I surround myself with, the support I've gotten. I was looking for a place where my people hung out, not just limb dwellers, but limb dwellers that were up to something, you know?
Yeah.
You know, they were up to something. They had some stuff they wanted to get out into the world, and they really want to do this. And some of them are just starting their business, and some of them have been doing it for a long time. But I don't know what it is, if it's in the groundwater or what, but Fave has been like, it's been the most transformative thing I've ever done in business, next to positive intelligence. And that's the truth. So thank you for creating this space, because
Yes. So, ladies, we would like to invite you to come and see. This is a highly curated community that we have. So, you do need to apply. We have a new application actually right on our app at favelifestyles.app. So, ladies, go check that out. You can see all the beautiful things that are happening over there and tap into some of the resources and fun things that we have right on our app now.
And if I may say very quickly, when you do that, you'll see me on that app. You get a complimentary saboteur assessment, and come talk to me, a complimentary call for 25 minutes. So go check out that app, and I'd love to talk to you, because it's just fascinating. You'll get so much out of just a conversation, whether you decide to move forward or not. But check out the app, because that's where that information is.
Absolutely, ladies. Go make it light and breezy. We'll see you next time.